Welcome back to another painting demonstration. Unfortunately, the audio, I've been out painting, but the audio wasn't working on my camera very well, so I'm doing a talk over back at my studio. So hopefully I can keep up with it and it will be it'll work okay. I went out to this lovely place in the countryside about 5 miles from my home. It was an absolutely beautiful day, perfect for painting. This is my bike, obviously, which I carry all my painting stuff on. Any bike would do. It's really useful because it acts as a table as well. When I'm out sort of painting, if I'm taking a video, I've got to carry more stuff because I have to take 2 tripods, but 2 panniers at the back, all the painting stuff fits in, and you can travel all day. You can explore little lanes, things you can't do in a car. You can get places with your bike that you can't get in a car. So anyway, I set my easel up and I was going to paint that little cottage you saw at the beginning. This is going to be a very, very loose painting. It's just a sketch to work back from in the studio. I'm not going into any detail. I say that every time, but this one really doesn't. This is just blocks of colour, and I'm not worried about getting everything perfect, like the shape of the cottage, the shape of the trees. I just want an overall impression of the scene of the day. My head is full of, once you've painted something and drawn it, you kind of remember it better. It imprints itself on your brain in a much stronger way than, say, taking a photograph, because you've kind of drawn every line. So it sort of etches itself right deep on your brain. Anyway, I've started with the greens and I'm gradually building those up, mixtures of cadmium, yellow, cobalt blue, cerulean blue. There's lots of bracken here in the foreground, and I'm painting that in with burnt sienna and a little bit of raw sienna. Here I'm moving, as I move up, there's a bit of change here because it's getting, as I move up towards the top of the tree, which will be at the top left eventually, it's much cooler, and I'm just altering the washes as I go. And these are painting the trees just behind the house. I'm using a cooler blue for those, cooler green, sorry, and it's helping them sit back a little bit. The trees sit back. If I painted them too warm, they would want to be coming forward too much. So it's just kind of getting things, the colour, the temperature of your colours right. Cooler in the distance, warmer in the foreground. If you can remember that, you'll automatically get perspective in your paintings, because warmer colours always appear closer. Cooler colours always in the distance. So if you look at mountains in the distance, they're often a shade of blue, aren't they? Because because of the atmospheric effect makes them appear cooler in colour. So just carrying on with the greens here, you can see I'm painting quite fast. This sketch probably took me about, in real time, probably about 35 minutes. I've edited it down a bit for the sake of the video, so you don't get bored. But I'm just trying to show you how I approach my work. So I carry on just loosely adding all the colours. So it's one wash down, introducing the browns in the foreground, the warmer colours, as I said, and the slightly cooler greens in the distance. Now just blocking in the cottage. I'm not worrying too much about that. It's like a red brick cottage. Just using a wash of cadmium red and raw sienna, just painting around the windows. I think I use one size brush for everything, apart from when I actually painted in the branches on the trees. I used one of my riggers for that, for the smaller work. But I think I use that same brush throughout the painting. Maybe one slightly smaller, but the same shape. I had the most beautiful spot to paint, actually. It was just under the shade of a tree. It was an absolutely perfect day. The only thing I was getting bothered was by flies, and I wish I'd taken a hat with me. So if you do go out painting, take a hat, because the flies sometimes they were like little fruit flies, and they were making me itch. There was hundreds of them. I think there's times you can see them on the page at the beginning. Actually, you can see them crawling all over the page now. Okay, I'm just blocking in the roof. Not worrying too much. Just, like I say, I'm after an impression. I'm not... Being outside painting, you're not going to... Well, some people might be able to, but personally, I'm not going to be able to sit down and do a really detailed painting. I'm just going to sort of, get an impression of the day. Just blocking in the colours first. The painting looks very flat at this stage because there's no shade, or there's no different values throughout the painting of light and dark. So the painting always looks very flat at this stage. These are the distant trees, so I'm painting them a grey-blue colour. They're way in the distance. Always remembering that your colours are going to dry a lot lighter on your page. There's a little tree over here, so I'm just blocking that in with a cooler green. But I really do recommend to anybody that wants to paint. I appreciate some people find it hard to get out and paint outside, and painting for photographs is absolutely fine. But I just get a completely different experience when I'm painting outside. You really do see things in a different way. I'm not saying my paintings are better. I'm just saying the overall experience for me personally is more enjoyable when I'm outside. On a day like today, I'll take my sandwiches and some drinks with me, and it's just a beautiful day out. And I can go. I tend to end up with them. I don't go much further than say a 20-mile radius from my house, but that's far enough for a full day out painting. And like on this particular day, I did 2 different sketches. I'll load the other one on as a video after this one. Now I'm just starting to add the darks. This will bring the painting to life a little bit more, and I'm just blocking the darks in. Okay, now we're starting on the tree, the trunk of the tree that's sort of framing the scene. Keeping the colours varied, so I've got some warm browns in there, burnt sienna, raw sienna, burnt umber, and I'm also adding some cobalt blue, some green. There's so many different colours out there. So when you look at the scene, you think, oh my God, there's so many different colours. How am I going to actually paint this? Well, you've got to simplify. It's all about simplifying. You've got to simplify the scene. If you start trying to sort of putting pressure on yourself by saying, oh, I've got to capture every colour, every leaf, you're not going to enjoy the experience. Squint your eyes slightly, look for where the lights and darks are, and just relax and paint the scene. Don't become too bogged down in detail and painting everything. We're just working on the tree here. Lots of varied greens in the tree. And you see how loosely I've painted that tree in? Hardly any detail at all, just splodges of colour. And that really is easy to, once you've learnt you've learnt the technique and you can relax with it, and you lose that urge to paint everything you see. It makes painting easy. I'm telling you, anybody could do it. Now we carry the shadow down to the foreground in front of us, in front of the house. Just going back into the shadows, adding while it's still wet, adding a little bit more burnt cobalt blue and cad and cadmium red. Picking out the different darks within the tree. If you can make your colours interesting, it doesn't matter what the quality of your painting will like, it will still look like a pleasing picture if your colours aren't all wishy-washy and there's no contrast in your painting. It will look weak and it will look as if you've struggled. But if you can create lights and darks and you can have interesting colours in your painting, then you can't go far wrong. And everybody can enjoy, that experience of producing something you'll keep for a lifetime, or you'll sell it maybe if you get good, and you can sell it, make some money. But if not, you'll always have that, and you'll remember that day better than any others after you've sat outside and painted a scene that means something to you, or something that you find particularly beautiful. Here I'm using the rigger. just to paint the finer twigs in, the branches of the tree. So I think I probably used a maximum of 3 brushes on this painting. And as I sit here and watch it, the day comes back to me being out there. I could hear the birds singing in the trees above me. It was absolutely perfect. In fact, the morning I painted this house is abandoned, obviously there's nobody living in it, and make a beautiful home, it really would. I forgot what I was going to say now. I lost my train of thought. Never mind. What are we going to do now? Let me have a look. I think we're going to go into painting some more detail into the cottage now. When I get round to it. I think I must have fallen asleep. Okay. This was just a little lean-to that was attached to the house. And it had a bit of a rusty side to it. So I'm just indicating that with the side of the brush and the dry brush technique, so you get that broken effect. But it's just like a splodge, really. Okay, now we go back into the trees just to paint some more detail. Very loose brushwork. I love impressionist type paintings, though. I really do. I went to a couple of galleries down in London a few years back. I think it was there was a big exhibition on. I think there was Monet, Whistler, other great artists anyway, and it was just mind blowing. Beautiful paintings. And now in the foreground here, I'm just doing some splattering. It builds up a little bit of texture without really doing any work. Always be careful with your sky, especially if you want to keep a very clear sky when you're splattering. Often I put a piece of paper over the sky just to make sure I don't get any bits go astray. Okay. Now I'm going to paint in the windows. I'm just using a mixture of cobalt blue, a little bit of raw sienna, and a little touch of cadmium red. Always use cadmium red very sparingly, because it's a very, you dip your brush in and you've got so much on your brush it will just kill the colour. So just use it very. And like I say, I'm not painting every little window pane. I'm just putting splodges of colour down to give an impression there. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do a much more detailed painting of this sketch, and I'll probably video it and put it up on YouTube as I do it, just so you can see how I work from the actual sketch. I made a bad job of editing this video. Sorry about that. Just put some distant trees in. Take your eye. The reason I did that, really, they weren't there, but I just thought a couple of darks there would help take your eye through the painting more. So that's another thing you've got to remember when you're outside. Artistic license. It's okay to move things around and change things slightly to make a better composition. Don't think you've got to paint exactly what's there. Anybody that knows that will know where that painting, that house is, and they'll know the scene, they'll know exactly where it is, even though I've added things there that perhaps aren't there, like those trees in the distance. Okay, now I'm starting to paint the shadows on the cottage, which helps the cottage come to life more. So there's a lovely deep shadow underneath this little lean-to porch, and I'm just using a mixture of cobalt blue, a touch of cadmium red and maybe a little bit of raw sienna, just to paint these lovely deep shadows that are in the house, on the house. It's such a warm day, and they were creating the most beautiful shadows. The porch was kind of falling down. There was lots of things happening there, but I'm kind of not trying to paint it all in because it would just look too bitty and messy. I'm just blocking in what I saw. I squint my eyes and I see where the shadows are, and that's what I paint. Okay, and now I'm just painting in the windows again. Down the bottom. Now they had some boards going across this window. So I'm just sort of painting around them at the moment, getting in the dark room behind. Just leaving the white of the paper. Just going over the roof again to add a little bit more interest. It was too light on the first wash. Adding a bit more detail to the hedges. Well, not detail actually, just shadow really. This is the corrugated front on the lean-to. Now I'm going to be painting the actual shadow. There's a lovely big shadow created by the eaves on the house, and I love painting these shadows, I really do. And this was just a mixture of raw sienna and cobalt blue for the shadow. It was a lovely big shadow. And really in this painting what I wanted to create was the feeling that I had when I was there. It was a really hot sunny day in the countryside, and I think the house looks kind of abandoned and uncared for. This is just painting the shadows under the windows. Again, it's the same mixture as I use, cobalt blue and burnt sienna. Just using the brush very lightly to create the shadow. This is painting the boarding in. Seem to have missed that a bit. Over the window. I hope this video has been of some help to you. Just to see how I work outside. There'll be lots more coming up soon, different things. I'll be painting in the town and also again in the countryside. Thanks ever so much for watching. Please come back and see more of my videos, and if you want to like and subscribe, that'd be great. Thanks very much for watching. Bye bye for now.